It's me, Prasamsa Tamang. Today I'm going to present the slides on the rights of people with disability. Here is my table of content, which consists of introduction, the obligation of governments, organizations, and individuals to promote and protect the rights and freedom of disabled people, and the legal consequences, complexity that can arise when granting the rights of disabled people, and then the conclusion, and last one is the references. And here is the introduction. Let's discuss about the human rights. Human rights can be defined as the fundamental freedoms and rights which are applicable to every individual people, irrespectively of religion, gender, sex, race, and many more. Let's discuss about the disability rights. Disability rights are fundamental human rights which have the same rights and freedoms as other people. Disability refers to any degree of physical disability, infirmity, malformation, or disfigurement that is caused by bodily injuries, birth defect, or illness, and without the generality of the foregoing includes diabetes mellitus, epilepsy, as a brain injury, any degree of paralysis, amputation, lack of physical coordination, blindness or visual impediment, deafness or hearing impediment, muteness or speech impediment, physical reliance on a guide dog or animal or a windshield or other remaining appliance or device all refers to the disability. Now the next topic is the obligations to promote and protect the rights and freedoms of disabled people by governments, individuals and organizations. And the first one is the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, which is also known as the CRPD in the short form. It is an international human rights treaty that outlines the rights of people with disabilities. It recognizes that people with disabilities have the right to live independently and abilities and have access to education, employment, and healthcare and participate fully in society. It reaffirms that people with disability are entitled to the equal protection and equal basis with others. That's why governments have an obligation to ensure that people with disability enjoy their rights on the equal basis with others. And the second one is the Canadian Human Rights Act. In Canada, Canadian Human Rights Acts protect them from discrimination in housing, employment, and services provided by government. Let's discuss the organizational obligation. Organizations have an obligation to protect and promote the rights and freedoms of people with disabilities. This includes providing equal job opportunities and accommodations for employees with disabilities. Organizations should also ensure that their products and services are accessible to each and every disabled people. And the last one is the individual obligations. Individuals also have an obligation to promote and protect the rights and freedoms of disabled people. This includes treating people with disabilities with respect and dignity and advocating for their rights. Individuals should also support organizations that promote disability rights and advocate for policies that protect the rights of people with disabilities. And the next topic is the legal consequences for governments, organizations, and individuals who fail to abide by human rights standards and laws for disabled people can vary it can vary depending on the country and legal framework involved. There are a number of legal consequences for such a violation, such as the first one is the international sanctions. In extreme cases, violation of disability rights law can result in international sanctions being imposed on governments or organizations by international bodies such as the United Nations. And the second one is the administrative remedies. Government also have administrative remedies for violation of disability rights laws such as revocation of licenses, fines, or other forms of disciplinary action. And the third one is the criminal prosecution. In some cases, violations of disability with law can result in criminal charges being filed against the individuals or organized responsible. And the last one is the civil litigation. Individuals with disabilities or disability rights organizations can file civil law suits against governments, organizations, and individuals who violate disability rights laws. The purpose of such law is to seek compensation for damages and to enforce compliance with the law. And talking about the critics and commentary. Critics and commentary on the effectiveness of these legal consequences vary. Some argue that civil litigations can be costly and time-consuming, and that administrative remedies are often insufficient to deter the violation of disability rights laws. Others argue that criminal prosecution is rare and that international sanctions are difficult to enforce. Now we are going to the next topic, which is the complexity that can arise when granting the human rights. Granting the human rights to people with disability can be a complex issue, especially when there are conflicts between different peoples or groups. Human rights. Here are some of the complexities that can arise. The first one is the economic and social barriers. People with disabilities may face economic and social barriers such as poverty and limited access to education, which can limit their human rights. The second one is the legal barriers. Legal barriers can also limit the human rights of people with disabilities, such as lack of legal recognition of their disabilities or the absence of legal protection against governments. And the third one is the adequate support. Inadequate support can be a barrier to their participation in society and can limit their human rights. And the next one is the accessibility. Ensuring accessibility to public spaces or places and having can be difficult because of different disabilities and the accommodation required. The next one is the stigmatization. People with disabilities may be stigmatized by society, which can result in discrimination and exclusion. This can be a violation of their human rights. And the last one is the stereotyping. People with disabilities may face stereotypes that can limit their access to education, employment, and social opportunities. Now the last one is the conclusion. Disability people are the people which are physically and mentally disabled. As a human being, we all have the same rights and responsible that the disabled people also has the same right as we have. That's why as a human being, we all have to promote the disability rights by advocating for policies which protect the rights of people with disability, and we have to treat them with respect and dignity. Is talking about the legal consequences. More legal consequences needs to be created and enforced to protect the rights of disabled people and to get the disability rights laws. And in the last, all governments, organizations, and individuals has to put more effort to address those complexities by recognizing the human rights of people with disabilities and work towards creating a more inclusive and accessible society. And here is my references, and thank you.